Well, hello, creatives, community, and kind folks. Welcome to RPG with DBJ. I am your host, DBJ, and this week we are talking about characters from pop culture. This one, a character from House of the Dragon, and we're doing House of the Dragon for the rest of this week, and taking these characters and their portrayals in our pop culture and using them as our tabletop role-playing fuel. And today we're going to talk about Aemond Targaryen. Now, you may say to yourself, didn't we just talk about this person? Well, no. We're talking about Aemond, not Daemon. Now, there's only a slight difference between the name. One has the D at the beginning of the name, the other one has the D at the end of the name. This is a naming convention that George R.R. Martin has embraced in his very widely acclaimed Song of Ice and Fire and Blood and all the other named other books, and of course the televised version of those. And it is true. Yeah, deep dive, so you don't have to watch it. I'm not necessarily giving away too many spoilers. Maybe we will be giving away some spoilers about their background, but the characters are very interesting. And the reason why I like to do this is because, listen, sometimes we get inspired by things, and we shouldn't be embarrassed or claim that we need to come up with original ideas. It's not really necessary. We all know that we are inspired by the things that we consume, so why not just use those things? Now, the naming convention part of Daemon and Aemon and Aegon and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So it's all about the D. Yeah. Absolutely. Might as well do spoilers. It's not really about the storyline, it's about the characters. So yeah, we can give away some spoilers. It'll be taken out of context anyway. So if you're someone that's like, I've never known about this or watched it or want to read the books, it wouldn't matter anyway. You will still be surprised when those events happen. Yeah. Yeah. 10 out of 10, you'll never watch it. No problem. So, okay. Aemond, it has been referred to with the unfortunate moniker of he's like the prime example of a school shooter. Horrible, but true. So this character, when they're young, and mind you, during the House of the Dragon, many of these characters are young. They are the children and offspring that end up taking on the sins of their parents and taking on the animosity and the hate and the murderous rage that's been fueled to them and cultivated in them by their parents. And so in House of the Dragon, there are a lot of young people who they grew up together. They were family. They have bloodlines that attach to each other. Please don't have me explain the bloodlines and who belongs to who and how they're connected and whatnot, okay? But they've taken on the sins of their parents. And Aemond, with the eye patch and the sapphire that's placed, by the way, he's missing an eye, and there is an image here of a sapphire, blue sapphire, that is placed into the eye socket where his eye used to be. This character is everything that a villain is. He's got the swagger. He looks good. He has the pursed lip, slight grin, walking around in black, arrogant, riding on the largest dragon in this world, excellent swordsman, the whole thing. But the storyline of how he gets there is important, and is a great a framework for creating this kind of character. So we're going to talk about this character being an ally, an adversary, and an enemy. Definitely a great enemy, but we're going to talk about the establish the foundation. So Aemond was treated very badly and picked on and bullied as a kid. They kept saying he was different. Now, within the story, they really don't go too deeply into what his differences are in the televised show. I have not read Fire and Blood to understand what the differences are, although the Fire and Blood book is a historical document, so it doesn't get too deep into the interpersonal connections. Some would say that he was very scrawny and small, so he's at the point at which he gets the eye patch, he's a head taller than his older brother. So when he was younger, he was very, very much a very small child. Didn't have a dragon to bond with, which was also kind of it was a yet another notch in the belt of, hey, here's another thing we can pick on this kid about. And as a Targaryen, having that bone white hair, not having a dragon, feeling awkward, taking his studies of Targaryen history and culture very seriously at a point at which many of his siblings didn't quite take it as seriously as he did. In some ways being a family people pleaser put him off to the side. He was picked on. And as a person who was bullied in life, I can understand this mentality. And some people who are bullied in life, one of the choices they make is to try to lead a life that is better than everyone else's. Oh, you think I'm scrawny? I'm gonna be bigger and better than you. You think I'm weak? I'm gonna be stronger. You think I'm dumb? I'm gonna be smart. And Aemond completely embraces all of this to the point at which very early on he realizes that he is a better candidate, and as a second son, he's a better candidate than his firstborn brother Aegon. Now, the name Aegon is like the name in our modern day would be like Caesar. An individual by the name of Aegon, the public thinks that and embraces the idea that just because of the name, that person should be on the throne. And we do this to ourselves in our modern culture. Someone with a funny name, we often cast aside, even if it's their last name, which they didn't even have a choice in. Oftentimes, if someone has the name of a famous person, well, of course, the child who has the exact same name and is a second or a junior or something, of course they should step up. And this is the case in this world as well. Aemond takes that again, another, oh, really? Here's yet another barrier I have to move through. And spoiler alert, he brings about during a conflict, a series of events happens, and he's like, ooh, if my brother dies and I'm the second son, I can take the reins, and there is no other option but to put me on the throne, to put me in the seat of power. Doesn't quite get on the throne yet, but is real close to it. And this character very much feels like a hands behind the back, laughing at my own jokes, twirling the mustache, kind of bad guy. But leading up to it, you're like, yeah, you're crazy, dude, but I get it. I really do get it. The series of events, sorry, let me go back a little bit. There's a line throughout House of the Dragon, the televised series, that is spoken to him a number of times. It says, essentially, was it worth it? So when all the children were young, during basically a funeral, the death of one of the Targaryens, he goes out and decides to approach and eventually bonds with the oldest, biggest dragon, and Vagar. You will hear that term, Vagar. And he bonds with this dragon during a time when everyone is reminiscing and during a wake of the passing of one of their own. And it was looked at, his bonding with this dragon was looked at as like a social faux pas. Like, the dragon really was supposed to be meant to bond with somebody else. You should have waited. But he's like, listen, I got one opportunity. I'm either going to die or I'm taking the reins. And he steps up to this dragon and bonds with the largest dragon. And so Aemond, as the king, and his dragon, kind of known as a female dragon, even though I think the dragons are asexual, but whatever the case may be, he's the king. His dragon is definitely the queen in this situation. And when he comes back, the kids get into a fight. They start pushing each other around. Aemond has his backbone is stronger, and because of the Targaryens having such a relationship with dragon and dragon blood, I felt like they really displayed that with his personality, his arrogance, his backbone being taller, stronger, that he got just as much from the largest dragon as the dragon got from him during this bonding. And he goes and starts smacking around the kids until one of them pulls a Velaryon dagger that's always razor sharp and cuts his eye. And of course he loses the eye, but at the end of it, it's like, hey, listen, I lost an eye, but I gained a dragon, the biggest and baddest one. So as a character, it's an outward appearance, a bit stereotypical, okay? Arrogant, intelligent, has a charisma that lends himself to a bit of perfection. This is the kind of character that spends a little bit too much time in the mirror and picking at lint on his outfit and such. Holds other people probably to a higher standard of behavior because he holds himself to an extremely high standard, and that can be a bit annoying. So as an ally, I think Aemond as an ally is someone who will extract from you more than he gives to you. So yes, this person could show up on a battlefield and change the tides. Yes, this Aemond Targaryen type character may be wealthy or influential. This character may be someone whose voice may not speak much, but when they do, people tend to look and listen. And having this individual as an ally may feel more like a problem than this person really being on your side. We know of those kind of individuals in our personal lives. We know these individuals exist in our world where they understand their own importance, and it's unfortunate, but we tend to not like people who understand their own power and their own importance. It's like the individual who knows they look good and they capitalize on that. The person who's the most intelligent, and they let you know that they know it and you know it. And you go to them for help and they go, I know why you're coming to me for help. Understand, this is the last time you get to ask me for a favor. And so as an ally, I can see player characters being bristling when this individual is in their presence. The person who constantly has to remind you of their accolades, or when you stand next to them, you happen to just look maybe a step below fashion-wise, status-wise, even wealth-wise. So very much a classic. I would even say as an ally, players may even look at this character and go, I think they're a villain in the making. Can't point, can't quite put my finger on it. I mean, you know, the hands, the walking with the black on and the hands behind the back and the extra long razor sharp sword and standing in shadows and all that, and standing next to one of the largest dragons in the world. Um, there is a scene in House of the Dragon where he's confronted by, and mind you, he's on the side of the what's known as the Greens, and he's in conflict with the family members that are on the sides of the Blacks. And during the dragon fight, mind you, letting loose with the fire, he's on the largest dragon in all of the realms, and a character goes to flee from the conflict, and that character turns back around, straps themselves down onto the dragon, and basically does the, yeah, we're not going to leave this fight. And some have been asking, like, why did this character, knowing they're going up against a dragon that's twice their size, or seemingly at least a half size larger, if not more, go up against the largest dragon? And my contention is that they continued to fight and could have fled because at that very moment, Aegon, who was supposed to be the king, is indisposed, possibly dead, most likely dead. And this character is brilliant enough and perceptive enough to go, you know what, if I leave, Aemond as king and Vhagar the dragon as queen cannot stand. Like, at this I've got a split second to make a decision, and if I leave, those two will be sitting on the throne. Now, I get it. Yes, I'm being funny that a dragon will be sitting on the throne, but as the queen. But effectively, Vhagar is a political power. These dragons they keep calling them nuclear weapons. I think they're more closely related to aircraft, modern day military aircraft in a medieval world. It's a little closer to that, but it's still pretty horrible. And yeah, Vhagar as queen would absolutely positively be a real thing, because when the king, Aemond, this character, gets to speak, he can just go, oh, would you like my queen to come to your house, to come to your borders and make her presence known, because we can make that happen. And most people are like, maybe not. Yeah. Shay says, hey, quick off topic, what about all of the other Game of Thrones families and the Starks and the Lannisters and all them? They do show up in House of the Dragon. They do. The Freys, the Starks, the Lannisters, Hightowers. Trying to think of some of the other houses. The Baratheons show up. They all make a showing because they're getting pulled into this civil war. But essentially, House of the Dragon is based around a historical event known as the Dance of the Dragons, and it's a specific time of history, and it's a civil war. So from the outside, the small folk, the common folk, look up and they're like, oh, they're all just royalty, intermingled, a bit incestuous and intermarrying. But it is a civil war because you're neither correct or wrong by deciding to go to one side or the other. The Blacks or the Greens are a family divided, and so it would be very much like a public argument between who owns the rights to the Kardashian name. It would be in a modern context, right? Imagine a very famous last name of the royal family over in England. The interpersonal conflicts that happen, and that's what it's about. So it's less about traveling all over Westeros. It's more about the throne and who is supposed to be on it. And they do show up. Now, mind you, this is about, I believe it was known as 173 years. So it's 100 to 200 years prior to Game of Thrones, the televised version of it. So you do get to see like some Lannister individuals. Mind you, this is, let's see, at 200 years, you're talking how many generations? Maybe at least between 5 and 10 generations of bloodline leading up to Game of Thrones. So it's not a one for one. So not at all, not at all. Now you could relate and go, oh, this, hey, this house exists. Why don't they exist in the future? Clearly, they got wiped out, and it is the Game of Thrones, right? No matter what time period. So there are families that come and go, rise and fall, and you get to see that. Like, are the Baratheons, have they left Storm's End? Are, the Lannisters, are they still rich and arrogant? And all that kind of, yeah, you get to see those characters. Some characters that represented by that house, not the direct lineage, like parents or grandparents of, but yes, but definitely ancestors. And so this Aemond character is, I mean, clearly in this latest of the 5th episode of season 2 in House of the Dragon, he's clearly standing looking over what will soon be his empire. And it is very much, even his mom is just looking at him like, did I literally raise a sociopath? And he's looking at her like, yeah, you did. Yeah, mom, you did. Pretty sad, but amazing. So Aemond as an ally, I could even see player characters chafing at the bit when and this Aemond style character does things, and the players are pulled like gravity into the exploits of this ally, especially if he lays waste to enemies or engages in lots of mass destruction and considers the player characters to be on his or her side and as an ally, and the players are like, wait a minute, we didn't sign up for this kind of thing. Why is this going on? So definitely a great character as an ally. Maybe not a long-term person. Rumors could spread. Maybe the characters hear about Aemond from definitely across the valley, over the mountain range, and when they arrive, they're like, you know what? This person lives up to all the rumors and more. Now, as an adversary, definitely this character is great as an adversary, especially if this person is vying for the same position of power or status or wealth or something of that nature. And mind you, that status, those levels of conflict don't necessarily need to be official. Sometimes we like to prove, there are people who like to prove that we're better than each other, faster, stronger. The character that likes to go, oh, so you're a swordsman? Let's test those skills out in front of everyone, even though, everyone else is looking around like, do we really have time for this? And this Aemond character has proven and probably will continue to prove that, oh, there's always time to embarrass someone else, to take someone else down a peg. And it would be pretty funny and interesting for player characters to go like, so are we fake sword fighting or are we really sword fighting? You're like, I don't know. You're so funny. Yeah, I wish mom would have raised me as a sociopath. Oh, crazy, crazy, crazy. Yeah, I would have been so much cooler. I could have been a politician instead of a home office nerd. Yeah. I was raised with pretty high levels of social interaction, not unlike some of my other people that lived in my neighborhood at the time. Yeah, I was so glad my mom exposed me to so many other things to expand my horizon. And yeah, living in the near hood, not so ghetto, but tangentially, there's a mentality that comes around that prevents people from wanting to leave because they're perceived as being like square or nerdy or having an embarrassment of you want to leave, therefore you think the place you grew up with and the culture you're around, there's something wrong with it, which to an extent there is that kind of concept. So now Aemond as an enemy is absolutely positively iconic, right? This character, let's see if we can find Aemond Targaryen on a dragon. Here we go. Definitely, this is the kind of character that the player characters would definitely want to confront. Ooh, here's another image of young and old Aemond. This is a character who definitely would display their power, show their arrogance, show their skills, and of course, one of the limitations the players may have against this kind of enemy, as a big bad evil guy, is that this person cultivates loyalty very easily through threats, intimidation, and actually skill. Aemond knows what he's talking about. He's very good at playing the Game of Thrones. Very, very good. And so good, in fact, that in the 5th episode, he's sitting around the council members who have to decide who should temporarily take control and speak for the realm. And he's sitting there with a slight grin, eyes slightly cast down, and just waiting for the council to all of them come to the conclusion that he should rule. And part of it is loyalty to him. Part of it is he's the most experienced. Part of it is he's got the blood. And lastly, part of it is he's got the largest dragon in the world. So all of that combined together, and he also makes a great enemy because when the most player characters tend to be specialists, right? I've got magic, I've got great skill, I'm very strong. Whatever the game system, fantasy or otherwise, has, most of the time player characters tend to be specialists. And Aemond is the kind of enemy that has just enough to embarrass you no matter what realm you're in. If it's politics, yeah, he knows what he's talking about. If it's warfare, he knows the tactics. If it's about histories or knowledge or languages, he knows. Is it about sword fighting and martial prowess? He has it. Is it about some kind of arcane magic or access or something? This character would have access to it as well. Definitely a comic book Marvel DC type of supervillain, Thanos Dark Side styled character who can take on the likes of the strongest character like the Hulk and beat them down, and also is intelligent enough to go up against the smartest character, and Aemond really fits into that category. Let's see what you guys say. Now, I would say that, of course, you really don't want to lift this character whole cloth into your tabletop role-playing game, right? You can, which isn't a big deal, but you may not want to. And one of the things, the threads you can pull on, like the name of the character, so I'll even put it into the chat. We all know in the television show that there's going to be a Daemon versus Aemond type of conflict, and that conflict is because he very much is styled after another older character that's in the show, and to the point that Aemond is like some would say a carbon copy of Daemon, who Daemon's swagger has rubbed off on this other character. So maybe there's someone in the world that Aemond is trying to emulate and is a more pure sociopathic version of another character. I could imagine there might be let's go with a famous knight that rode upon a massive griffin or something. And this is a famous knight. Maybe this knight leads a knighthood, semi-retired maybe, or what have you. And then this Aemond character comes along, and their cloak is longer, cleaner. Their flying mount is trained better, and this other you could everyone is like, this isn't tongue-in-cheek, like you literally are trying to assert the power of your mentor or idol or something, and maybe, on paper, maybe they are better and faster and stronger and a more pure version of this other knight who might have had a lot more mercy and justice and honor. And this character is just like, oh no, evil? Oh no, I'm not going to give them mercy. Why would I do that? I'm going to be worse. Yankee says, also, I don't watch this show, but that eye patch looks really bad. It sticks out. I'll say that, it sticks out. Now, mind you, the eye patch does cover, I'll put this over here. The eye patch does cover, I mean, listen, the dude has the proverbial bad guy scar across the eye, as his eye was cut out, and he's got like a sapphire in the eye gap. So is there a bit of like, my eye patch draws attention because it looks really cool? There is a bit of that. And also, listen, if you're going to be a bad guy, you got to have the aesthetic, okay? You got to have the slightly high collar around your all black outfit that you wear, your all black leathers, showing off your lean frame that proves that you walking around with your sword all the time and stuff. So does it look bad? I would dare challenge you and say it looks cool. It looks pronounced. Even with one eye, I can see how you're plotting against me, right? There's a little bit of that. Not a little bit. There's a lot of that. There's a for this character. I don't know what Ikebana is. I guess I would dare say that, unless it's embarrassing, this character probably is very good at whatever challenge you put up against them, especially if it's one of either martial prowess or intellectual knowledge. This character would definitely do it, and has displayed such in House of the Dragon. So definitely this character is that way. Now, as an enemy, it's possible that, because every enemy's got to have a weakness, and if this character is so perfect and has cultivated a persona that makes them so perfect, I would say one of the limitations is that there are probably people around Aemond that know, if given the opportunity, would take him down a peg or outright just have him murder killed. Okay, so one of the best things about those intimidating characters that always seem to have all the power, they always have that presence about them that makes them seem perfect, is that they tend to be surrounded by people who are just as jealous of them and have been embarrassed by this person and would love to see them taken down a peg. So one thing is, player characters may acquire allies if they can find someone willing to speak up. because Aemond, of course, being who he is absolutely paranoid and absolutely positively understands that just as conniving as he is, he's looking at everybody else being exactly the same way. So that's a real thing. As portrayed in the storyline, he does have another limitation, and that is that, unfortunately, here's a picture of Aemond and Daemon side by side. Aemond with the eye patch on the left, and then Daemon on the right, and they are related. I think biologically, Daemon is his uncle. Oh shit. I don't know. I would have to call it one of those family tree things. But Daemon and Aemond have some blood relationship together, and Daemon's older. Daemon's, I believe, at the current time frame, Daemon's probably in his late the mid 40s to early 50s, and Aemond is in his mid 20s ish, I think, as portrayed in the show. But anyway, another limitation that Aemond has, because of being raised as royalty, because of being a second son, and we talked about second sons, second born in yesterday, especially in medieval times. Like, are they the forgotten ones? Are they the ones that should be, that are cultivating for power? What is it? But he's never really had a real mom. Like, he's had a mother that gave birth to him, but as far as like nursemaids and people training him, he really hasn't had that. So one of his first sexual experiences, he was taken to brothels down in Flea Bottom. It's the bottoms, right? It's the lower class section, and there was a adult woman who exposed him to sexual proclivities when he was a young child, and even up until the modern day, he has still retained a relationship with that woman, making her, in a way, his surrogate mom. And while she treats him like a mother with a child, albeit living in a place of ill repute, she understands her position versus his, that she's not necessarily scared of him, but she knows she's a small folk and he's royalty, that in a moment's notice he could just call for her death, and no one would question it. She would just be captured, arrested, killed, punished in any way that he wanted to. Now, he doesn't, but also, and this was said in an interview with the actor portraying Aemond. There's a crime movie known as Heat, where characters are criminals. And one of the mantras that the criminals say is that you should never have any relationships. Nothing in your life should be more important that you can't walk away from it in 30 seconds. And Aemond kind of has. Yeah, I didn't make that up. Thank you very much there, Andy King. You're very kind. Yeah, Brothels and Flea Bottom. A good title there. I didn't make that up. But yeah. Oh, Ikebana is the Japanese art of flower arranging. I forgot about that. Aemond would win. He would definitely win. And if he lost, he would probably figure out a way to get back at you if you were that good. Well, thank you for being so funny. Flea Bottom Brothel, aka the doghouse, where guys go to wake up with fleas, so to speak. Yeah. Yeah. Very much so. Very much. I would say I agree with you. I would say, so you said, we got another crucial woman of ill repute figure like the one that got killed by Tyrion. Yes. Yes. This character in the story, I don't believe is as important, because there's an interaction with his older brother Aegon, who's king, and just like kind of embarrasses him and is like, look at him, he actually has an emotional connection with this woman, like laughing at him. And he walks away. He knows that this person is important in his life, but it's like, do I hold on to it and be teased about this and made fun of and be taken down a peg, or do I stand tall with my back lean, tall, ramrod straight, and not let anyone know about my weaknesses? Which also makes Aemond a bit of a not a conundrum, but this would be difficult to portray in a tabletop role-playing game, but it would be pretty interesting to have a villain who keeps getting better, and the player characters on the outside keep finding out that this villain keeps hacking away at their limitations. That in the beginning, yeah, they talk a good game, but they're not really that influential or powerful, whatever. But little by little, this character moves up the status ladder, the power ladder, the martial prowess ladder, the tactician, and keeps moving up. And like forging himself of steel, this is a character who absolutely positively have read all of those like self-help books, follows those people on online that have those channels where they're just like, to be a real man you have to, you know, and like this is absolutely that kind of character who's just like, yeah, I'm protein shaking, exercising 5 days a week, reading the post-it notes that are on my mirror, making words of affirmation. Like, this is definitely that kind of character. And taking the self-help stuff a little bit too serious. There's a movie called Nightcrawler. I was about to say Doppelganger. Nightcrawler, that is about a guy who takes the self-help stuff a little too seriously and is a bit of a sociopath in that movie. Jake Gyllenhaal is the actor that plays the Nightcrawler, and Aemond Targaryen is very much a Nightcrawler type character who is willing to sacrifice his own humanity to achieve a goal. Like, yeah, he might have a split second of hesitation, but he's going to go through with it. He's going to get his hands dirty and bloody. He's definitely that kind of character. So, also, I would say, yeah, here's an image of side by side of a young prince that Aemond killed, and historically, it was said in the histories that Aemond was proud when the war got started, the civil war got started, to kill one of his own cousins or nephews, dragon on dragon fighting. And the portrayal in the show shows that he kind of didn't mean, well, it was his fault, but he kind of didn't mean to do it in the way that it happened. He was just trying to intimidate the young prince, show that who was the boss. This was the young prince that took his eye, and he's just like, oh, I'm taller, stronger, bigger than you. I got a little bit of dragon fire in me. What about you, you little pipsqueak? And attempts to extract some revenge. And the dragons, they don't play games, right? It's if you've got that one person in your neighborhood that has a pit bull and likes to joke around about sicking their pit bull on the other younger kids in the neighborhood, it's one of those things where, yeah, the person that lets that chain go, yeah, it's your fault, because the dog doesn't think it's a joke. You think you're being intimidating and you're having fun because it makes you feel good, but the dogs, and in this case the dragons, it's not a joke to them. So of course the dragon chomp 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 kills the prince. Spoiler alert. And you could see there's a shadow of regret on his face, but when he gets back home, it's just like, nah, I did it. What of it? Yeah, I did it. Of course I did it. And this is the kind of character that was like will never admit to a mistake. This character is not going to do that. He's going to like, yeah, I planned that. Here's an image of the absolute monstrous, colossal size of his dragon that he acquired Vhagar, and himself as a child, maybe 8 to 12 years old at the time, bonding with the dragon. And absolutely massive dragon. That dragon it's crazy. Anyway, they did a great job, the dragon fight. What a great dragon fight conflict. So, here we go. Okay, so lastly, so we don't have to hold you guys too much longer, I would give, because the Aemond character is a reflection of everything that's around in that world. I wouldn't make this kind of enemy, this kind of bad guy or NPC so different. I think he makes a great concept character as being the epitome of what already exists in the world. So an example would be if this is in a Fae court, make this character the idealized version of a Fae or an elf or some other thing. Make this character the idealized version of a dragon rider or a vampire lord or a lich or a psychic commander or whatever you have in your world. Make them the epitome of that they know the histories of where their power comes from. If I have to pull something out of my ass, so let this person be an elemental prince, and they dress in the finery with hems and lines that have ancient glyphs or runes emblazoned upon their outfit that go back 10 generations because they know the histories of the elemental powers. They speak in a manner that know all of the elemental. Their language speaks of flame and water and air and earth or whatnot. And this is just me making up a character, right? Allow this character to speak, though young, speaks with some authority amongst others. Maybe there's the Wizard's Council of Seven, and he's able to walk into their chambers and give them a tongue lashing, a finger wagging at the Council of Seven, even though the Council of Seven had been alive for hundreds of years. And here's this upstart, but this upstart has a lot of power and influence. Also, lather on a bit of the arrogant behaviors, right? The speaking to the player characters, but this character has their back turned with their arms held behind their back. That was a very a common dark side tactic in the comic books and in DC Comics. Dark side. Let's see if we can put it. Let's see. Side hands. Yeah, yep. Dark side, hands behind his back, even came up, right? There's some imagery. This comic book bad guy has always, constantly, there it is, back turned, hands held behind his back. I think those might be chains or something on him. But yeah, he's always seen that way. Sometimes he's got a cloak on. He's always thoughtful and that kind of thing. It definitely DC's version of a Thanos type character as well, right? Always got their, always talking with at least one hand behind their back. Very confident, never doesn't sweat the small stuff kind of character. And this is the kind of character that would be never seems to be surprised by anything. Even when they're losing, they will civilly concede, right? Even in a loss of Ikebana or chess or whatever, is like, oh, I will hand it to you, great heroes or something like that. You've won this round, but understand the war is still one to go on, something like that. Like very, very much portray this character as being that way. And I guarantee your player characters, if they know nothing about your big bad evil guy that you're portraying off of Aemond, they will definitely, absolutely positively someone made a picture of Thanos getting punched in the jaw by Darkseid. Yeah, down in the chat, which villain do you like better, Darkseid or Thanos? Don't worry about their movie portrayals. They're, one's definitely not as good as the other, but whatever. Wizard Wesley Crusher, the audience will love him. Yeah, a bit of that. Yeah, a little bit of the young upstart that tends to know what he's talking about, and in hindsight, people look back and go, oh, wow, this person really did know what they were talking about. Aemond is that kind of character. Now, as far as like adventures and storylines and things like that, it would be interesting for this Aemond character to be related to the players in some way, shape, or form. Maybe they went to the same school or college, or were raised together. If they are not blood related, I think that would make it an even better choice. What to incorporate the bullying into it? Maybe one of the players bullied this character, which would be a weird twist, but very cool. Or I could even see maybe one or more of the player characters saw Aemond getting bullied and wasn't able to do anything about it. And mind you, remember, just as in real life, Aemond still holds grudges from childhood. And often what happens when we talk about bullying in life is that some people grow past it. They don't even realize it, and others hold tightly to it. So in House of the Dragon, for example, Rhaenyra Targaryen, our princess queen, in exile from her throne, had sexual relations with Criston Cole. Now, did she have a good time? Sure. Was it that important to her? Not really. And she was like, yeah, it was cool. We had an exchange, but whatever. I mean, emotionally, does she have an emotional tie? Not really, not at all. But Criston, oh man, this dude is butthurt and has been butthurt for a dozen years, give or take, or something like that. I mean, it's pretty. He still to this day is calling her everything but her name. Okay, and Aemond, even the slightest slight, he's probably holding on to it and will remind the player characters about it. Like, for example, maybe the player characters threw coins at a bunch of children in the park or whatever, and Aemond brings up the fact that you didn't give me any coin. You threw coin to me, to everyone else, my brothers and sisters, but none to me. And they're just like, what are you talking about? I don't remember that. And they're like, yeah, you threw down exactly 17 silver coins, and there were 18 of us. You did that on purpose. You didn't want me. You wanted me to be embarrassed. They picked on me ever since then. And you're just like, what? I just grabbed some coinage in my purse and threw it out. I don't know, what are you talking about? Yeah, this character probably has a lot of different slights, like, petty slights too. Like when you walked into the Chamber of Nobility, you didn't address me first. You're like, well, you're like the second son. Like, really? Like, really, dude? Get a grip. But yeah, very, very fun. Very fun characters. Very cool. Yeah, Thanos definitely resembles Darkseid, but I like to compare Darkseid with Doctor Doom since they share the same creator. Yeah, that happens a lot in comic books, right? Like where one creator worked for one company and goes to the other, and all they basically do is erase they erase the serial numbers and then just recreate those same characters somewhere else. For example, like the New Gods and the Eternals are basically the same. It was during the Jack Kirby era, and yeah, Darkseid and Thanos copies. I mean, Marvel and DC have been doing this from time eternal, right? Because when one character became popular, of course they would make other characters popular, and so they would want to copy and paste. So yeah, it's been done forever. Yep. Yeah, it's so common as to be so common as to be part of the comic book experience. So, oh, that's not a good picture of his murder cloak. Okay, I'll put this one back up here. So, guys, thank you very much for being part of the show. I really appreciate it. We will talk about some of the other characters. We're going to talk about Alicent and Rhaenyra, and even talk about the Velaryons, Corlys and Rhaenys, who are a power couple unto themselves. we're not going to go through there's too many characters to go through unless this is something people are looking forward to. Far too many characters to go through. Instead, we will be talking about science fiction coming up. We'll probably do a week of that. I'm very impressed by an air quotes indie press game. Anyway, it's a very great hard sci-fi game. I'm very impressed by it. We will go over that. What else? Anyway, you guys let me know as well. As a Marvel fangirl, I take Thanos or Doctor Doom. I'm a bit upset that they haven't really done a great Doctor Doom yet in the public media, like television, movies, not public medium, filmography. Not a really good Doctor Doom, because Doctor Doom is like those other characters, very much like hands behind the back, good at everything, kind of arrogant. Yeah, I love it. By the way, I chose Darkseid. Yeah. Infinity Stones or the Source? What is the anti-life equation? Yeah, which one is better? World War II vet Jack Kirby, throughout his career, kept making fascist dictators as villains for some strange non-political reason. Yeah. Hey, you are influenced by your I'm sorry. Horrible. You're influenced by your influences, your experiences. So why wouldn't he do that? It makes sense. Throughout comic book history, every generation of comic books has always reflected upon our age. That's why you have like Silver Age, Bronze Age, Iron Age, that kind of thing. And generally every 10 years it did a reflection of what society was like. So comic books were a reflection of what was going on. Drew says, next week, The Acolyte or The Boys? Ooh. The Boys would be difficult in a way, but The Acolyte, which I know I picked on The Acolyte, but I like it. I liked what was revealed in the latest episode of The Acolyte about the cover-up of the Jedi and stuff. I actually enjoyed it. I felt a little clumsy, but it was good. It was really good. I know some people who are fanboys of Star Wars are just like pissed off at it, but it was really good. I was like, yeah, I could see that happening more often than a little bit when your arrogance and righteousness kind of takes over. Yeah, it really made the I forget their name. I'm calling them the Night Sisters, but that wasn't their name. But yeah, it really makes them as like, hey, a-hole, you colonist a-hole, you should have just left them alone. Like, really? Yeah, The Boys, in which the Paladin is played by a murder hobo. Yeah, Homelander. Oh, what a great villain. What a great character. Okay. All right, we've got it. The Boys is going to be difficult, but we got to do it. Okay. Yeah, we'll do The Boys. We'll do The Boys. The Acolyte will get more attention, but The Boys is more interesting. So yeah, we'll do The Boys. And I'll have to do some more communication with the creator of Shadows over Soul, which is a science fiction game, and I'm going to have some more back and forth with them before I do this, because there's a Kickstarter starting. That's horrible what I just did. So there's a Kickstarter coming up for the second edition, and I'm like, the first edition is awesome. Like, why do you need the second edition? It's just my personal opinion, but yeah, I think what was the last printing was in update was 2015, and so yeah, very cool game. The idea of using playing cards is bizarre. Can we do The Watchmen too? The Watchmen is a great one as well. Okay, it's on the docket. It's on the docket. Side note, just before we get out of here, I just want to say this. And this is very general. Come on, stop sharing. There we go. Oh, the real one. I mean, the comic book and movie, no spin-offs. Yeah, absolutely. Um, I liked the Watchmen spin-off televised series. I get purists didn't like it, but I liked it a lot. But let me voice this to you guys. Yeah, yeah, yeah. You didn't win. Yeah, Watchmen, in which the DM doesn't care about the players winning. Like, no, 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 no. The villain, their plan went off a half hour ago. Like, we're gonna fly to Antarctica and stop the bad guy. Like the bad guy's gonna wait for you. That's yeah, I love it. Um, yeah, I understand the movie version didn't have the psychic alien monster thing and all that kind of stuff in the Watchmen series, but it still was. I think the movie was still pretty good. Don't know Nicopolo trilogy. That is obscure. I'm not familiar with that. I am not familiar with that. Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah, that would be cool just to have that. Nicopolo. It's let me look that up. Um, oops. Let's see what comes up. Ah, there we go. Hmm. I wonder if I could just pick this up. Amazon. Series of three science fiction graphic novels written in French by Yugoslavian born N.K. Belial, published between 1980 and 92. Huh. Carnival of Mortals, Woman, Trap, and Cold Equator. I will have to look that up. I may acquire them. If there's an English edition. Yep, there's an English edition. Very cool. The central plot of the trilogy, set in 2023 Paris, follows Al Alcide Nicopole, who returns from a 30-year sentence spent orbiting the Earth under cryopreservation to find France under fascist rule following two nuclear wars. Ooh, that's cool. Um, Transhuman stuff. Okay, absolutely. To a movie. Oh, that's where the movie came from, or the title of the movie. Maybe I'll take that into a consideration. All right. Here is a conundrum I'd like to give to you guys, and let you guys think about it. And the English version is good. Sometimes translations are horrible. English translation is awesome. It retains all the humor of the original. Really, and there's humor in it. That's different. That's amazing. So, okay. Um, why is it that sometimes we in the tabletop role playing community feel like when two things are combined together that shouldn't be, that it gives us a bad taste in our mouth, even though we like both things? Let me give you an example. Peanut butter and chocolate. Um, or if you've ever been to the Ohio State Fair, a bacon cheeseburger where the buns are not bread, but two Krispy Kreme glazed donuts as buns. Yes, I had one of those heart attacks in the making. Um, there is a ice cream shop here that used to sell something known as Jenny's Ice Cream. Is a pinky in the air, teeth closed, AEIU, and sometimes ice cream shop, and they had a ice cream flavor known as Queen City Cayenne. It was a milk chocolate ice cream that had cayenne pepper in it. Uh, Pineapple on pizza. What I mean to say about this is, uh, we have role playing games and we use polyhedrals many times as a randomizer. We also have playing cards, but we don't see very many role playing games using classic set of, jacks, queens, kings, clubs, diamonds, aces, all whatever, as a randomizer, and I wonder why. because using cards as a randomizer has kind of been a bit of a like a rub you the wrong way kind of thing in the tabletop role playing community, and I feel like it's a little harsh, and I don't understand why, and I wonder what it is. Yeah. Here we go with the fight. Yeah. Never understood what people like in peanut butter. I'm not a big peanut butter person either. Pineapple and pizza is great though. And see, that's the point, right? There's I bring up a thing purposefully because there's that contention, there's that battle of like, I can't believe you like this thing. Yeah. It's like, see you on Hump Day Part 3. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Anyway, I just thought I would ask that about that, simply because I'm impressed by a very extensive hard science fiction role playing game that uses playing cards. And yes, you can use dice. It actually has in the appendix, like, well, if you don't want to use those, you can use dice. And I get that some people don't have access to playing cards, but I feel like rolling the d6 and playing cards are probably just as ubiquitous. So I always wonder, like, why don't we use playing cards for randomization? Is it cheating? Are they awkward? Do people do not feel comfortable shuffling cards or something? It's weird, really weird. That would be hilarious. Imagine a game where every encounter, your tools got randomized. Might use dice, might use playing cards, might use a twister mat. Uh, this restaurant doesn't exist anymore, but there was a restaurant, bar, and grill that was an adult playground, and it had the restaurant and bar had all the children's games, but they were for adults. Like, there was literally, the dance floor had a twister mat painted on the floor. They had menus, and some of the menus were as tiny as this little red business card thingy thing, up to like this. They had the same menu was printed on like 5-foot menus that you could barely put on the table. You almost had to put them on the floor and read them that way. All the chairs were. It was just a really bizarre place. It was very fun, like a fun house. Literally walking in the front door, a air cannon shot air up at an angle when you opened up the door. So young ladies that had on flowy skirts had their skirts lifted by the air. Maybe that was probably one of the reasons why it got shut down. The employees got to dress, purposefully dressed in very obnoxious outfits. Like, maybe someone comes around and is wearing like a chicken mascot outfit without the hat on. Someone will walk around in an old classic light blue tuxedo and tails with the sissy frills. It was very fun place. I bet you could get away with it today, but shame it disappeared. But anyway, guys, thank you very much for being part of the show. Really appreciate it. Thank you very much for tolerating me and my excesses as well. But we'll talk about all these other things, and of course, we're going to talk about the boys, talk about the Acolyte, the Watchmen. We may not do a whole week of those. That remains to be seen, because sometimes the inspiration hits me, and I'll go, "Oh shit! Like, there's more to it than a little bit." So yeah, we'll do that. Especially if we want to do like character breakdowns, maybe, or something like that, or plot breakdowns, and using that. Of course, we always we bring it back to tabletop role playing. So, guys, have a great one. I will see you guys later. Peace and tranquility. Bye.